Thank you, team, for joining this webinar, which is going to talk about more than VM backup. We are going to talk about any application, any data, any cloud, how that needs to be protected, and making sense of that data by doing data reuse. So let me start with my introduction. My name is Virendra Chaurasia. I'm working with Veeam Softwares for India location. I'm based out of India, and I'm looking after a sector, BFSI sector and enterprise accounts based out of India. So let me begin the presentation. So typically, if we see traditional data sets, right, how are we protecting data today? So right side, you see the list of data sets which typically we have in our traditional IT infrastructure, right? It starts with physical servers. You may have virtual servers. You may have different hypervisors. You have on-premises backup targets. At times, the targets can be on cloud and be it on premises or off premises. The targets are either immutable or non-immutable. But these are the data sets typically we talk about, right? But the landscape of IT overall is changing, and there are other areas wherein we have data stored and the data which needs to be protected, right? So we are going to talk about those areas and how those needs to be protected in further slides. So let me just set the stage about why we are talking about data, right? So data today, if you see, data is running the business. It is helping business to make smarter decisions. So if I have to give you an analogy about the importance of data, so I'll try to connect you with the industry analogy, right? So industry 1.0, which started in 17th century, was about mass production, and the source at that time to revolutionize the um, industry 1.0 was the fuel, that was petrol, right? And in the 18th century it was electricity, which actually helped human to progress towards industry 2.0. And during 19th century it was the combination of computer and electricity. But now if you see, during the 21st century, the data is going to be the next fuel, the next oil, which will be collected from any devices. It could be sensors, it could be endpoints, it could be smart driving cars having multiple sensors, driving data back to you know uh, make some decisions out of that data. So this data is not just going to be stored, it is also going to help business to drive their business strategies. It will help business to make smarter decisions. It will help business to solve their problems. It will also help business to understand how overall the company and the product is performing. And basis all this input, they can take a call of improving the process to meet the market expectations. And moreover, it will also help you understand the customer's behavior, right? So you can apply this to your line of business. All this can be derived out of data, and when so much dependency is there on data, protecting that data from a bad actors is very critical. So when we are talking about the data is that important, so this data is actually positioned or placed at universal locations, right? It could be on premises, it could be attached to an application working as software as a service, it could be stored onto a cloud that can be within your seismic zone, or it can be out of your seismic zone, or it is also there on the web, right? So when we are talking about data which is so critical and it is placed at in multiple locations, okay, how do you ensure that it is protected no matter where it lives? Okay. And when data is growing, Okay, when we talk about data collected from every endpoints, data collected from sensors, data collected from the smart devices like auto-driven cars, okay, and also data collected from the web portals, applications, on-premises applications, or from cloud. It imposes a lot of challenges, right? When you have such a scattered um, data placements, right? So when you have more data, it comes with more challenges. So the challenges could be, how do you protect that data? So protection is very important. Okay, so while you protect it, you need to ensure that you're not just protecting it, you're also monitoring it, so that the protection of this data is monitored and the proactive actions on any errors or any warnings is taken to ensure that the protection is making sense. And while you do protect, you do monitor, you take action, the proactive actions, all this needs to have a dedicated management. Okay, so protection is as critical. While protection is critical, monitoring and management is also critical. But when it comes to protecting, monitoring, and managing, you cannot leave security apart, right? So security in overall is quite a big topic when it comes to securing the entire IT ecosystem. But when it comes to protecting your data, creating a copy of data and securing it is what we are going to talk about, right? So data is very important and it needs to be protected and secure. So that is what this slide is talking about. So let me move on to the next slide. Okay, so so when you have such an exponential data growth, which is critical for business, you have challenges of data is placed on different locations. You need to have a very modern platform which can protect this data, right? So a platform, so here what we are trying to present in this slide is about 6 pillars which actually can help you define your modern data platform, right? So so a modern data platform needs to protect either edge devices or core data center or cloud. But while it has to do that, these 6 pillars has to be you know the building blocks of this particular data protection. That starts with protecting your backup. I mean, helping your data sets to be able to protect it and recoverable. The platform should also help you accelerate your journey from your private cloud to public cloud, or maybe a nature of hybrid cloud. It should also help you protect the data sets which is been backed up from bad actors like malwares and ransomwares. Okay, while it is able to do that, it should also able to give you some orchestrator in terms of defining your SLAs related to RPOs and RTOs. And it can be policy driven with single click to roll back to a DR in case you have any disaster. These disasters could be due to any natural calamities, or it could be due to cyber attacks, right? So you need to have a pillar which can help you protect or replicate not just the the production copy. It should also help you DR or the backup data sets to ensure that in case of DR you have a single click and it is orchestratable. And while you do that, and which can help you allow take proactive actions and help you analyze the capacity trending and the capacity utilization, or maybe the change rates in your environment and so on, right? And moreover, when all these data sets are created, okay, this platform should also be able to help you reuse data, right? So that data can be reused for let's say for example of forensic testing, or it can be reused for test and development to uh, develop more application, to develop more modules, or it can be used for security analysis, right? So you can more out of it. and you can also do e-discovery. So when you are building a modern data protection platform, ensure that the platform should be able to at least meet these six uh, capabilities. So I call it the six pillars of the base building blocks of data a modern data protection, right? So let me move on to a next slide. So what we are saying on this slide is that you need to protect everything which is which is either on a physical environment, or which is on virtualized environment, or maybe it's on cloud. So when we talk about physical environment, it could be a Windows, Linux, Unix flavors, many multiple distributions of these flavors. When we talk about virtual infrastructure, it could be placed on a hypervisor used as ESXi, or maybe Hyper-V, RHV, or AHV. And when we talk about cloud, it could be any cloud like GCP, AWS, uh, Azure, OpenShift, OCIs, and etc. Right? So data today is placed not just on physical servers or on premises. It is also placed outside your premises. Uh, m- business using some software as a services, maybe business using some additional data sets from the cloud providers, maybe business just using cloud services for storing a second copy of business. So data is residing into a different location, and all this location needs to be protected. So no matter where data is living, it needs a protection. So let me talk about what are the applications, what are the sets of data we typically follows, right? So when we talk about software as a service, or we talk about customers business runs on application, right? I mean, business typically relies on applications. Those applications can be custom line of application which is homegrown, or custom built applications. It could be IIS based web servers, or it could be one of the great examples of software as a service is M365, right? So due to the last 2 years which we all have what say witnessed, right? The COVID-19, the adoption of M365 has gone into hundred plus millions, right? When it that means that many of the business, or many of the companies have actually adopted M365 as one of the collaborative software as a service option, wherein it is not just giving services for email, it also gives you services for your business to have a single drive wherein all data can be stored. It also gives user flexibility of leveraging collaboration on file shares, like creating different channels, and also capability of talking to colleagues, customers, and having audio and video calls, right? So when we talk about software as a service as M365, the overall architecture of M365 is very complex, right? It has a different data sets which is stored into videos for the video calls. It has a different data set wherein it stores audio, right? So 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 when you have this complex architecture, this needs to be protected. Okay, so applications, whether it is custom built, whether it is web based, or it is software as a service, that needs protection. Why it needs protection? Because, for example, M365, right? There were scenarios during COVID-19 wherein some companies had to downsize their the resources which they had. Okay, and post everything become normal, they had to rehire the resources. But what happened when they downsized it? They have also released the licenses because to save cost. And when they released the licenses, it had some default retention strategy on Azure, and once that retention is over, the data is no more available. So now, if they don't have data backup for M365, they are not able to reproduce that data for new joinees. Okay, so that is one of the example, right? I'm just driving your attention towards potential scenarios or examples wherein uh, the importance of M365 backup is uh, uh, required, right? So that is what I'm trying to connect to. The importance of protecting your custom built application is as critical as protecting your collaboration tool. The for some companies, which is driven using web services, even for them, the data which is generated out of web services is important to be protected. So these are some example of applications. uh, while we talk about application, the importance of or the essentialities of protecting application, don't forget don't forget that your endpoints, right, are equally important, because uh, it could be desktop, because again, I'll take an example of COVID-19, wherein we had to a lot of companies have actually distributed laptops to their employees to work from homes to ensure that business runs. The desktops have been delivered to employees at home to ensure that they do their productive contribution to business to run during this challenging phase. While this was distributed, it had all data distributed across different locations, right? Maybe remote offices, or maybe from their home. So when you have the data so distributed, it needs to be protected. Okay. So desktop protection is as important. Second, when we are talking about you have observed, right, 700% increase in ransomware attack in last 12 months. That means there are bad actors who are waiting for uh, to create bad impact on your business, and then lock your file and then demand for some ransom compromise payments. So typically, if you don't protect your desktops, at times the important file which is lying on desktop can be easily targeted by these ransom guys, and they can get into your network and create harm to the overall infrastructure. So taking desktop backup is as important as taking server backups. So I would also try to connect this to one of the analogy, wherein let's say, take an example of engineering lab, wherein these endpoint machines are used for doing a lot of activities, and if those are not protected, if you have downtime and it takes it uses some customized applications, the customized settings to complete those engineering tasks. If it is not protected, and if there are any problems, you may have outage, right? Because to recover that, it will take time, because it has customized settings, and that restoration, or by the time you make it production, can take hours. But that those number of hours which this machine was down can cause potential business loss. So what if you have tool which can help you protect that desktop and build help you restore that from image based restore copies, and it can be restored in minutes, and your business continues, right? The impact of having a lesser downtime can help you continue your productivity. Okay. So with help of Windows based agent from Veeam, we help you to protect these desktops, which can be which can be used to increase the productivity of your users by not having major outages, to restore back the customized settings of their application, or customized settings for the tools which they use on this machine. So remember, physical desktops are as critical as the servers which you have in your environment. Okay. And while we'll talk about like I was talking about the initial slides, right, data mobility. So data mobility is also playing a critical role, because at times we have applications which either get retire, or get rebuild, or get repurchased, right? And when the applications are either rebuild or repurchased, they need to be ported onto a latest platform, right? So for example, an application which was running on physical, if it has to run on virtual, it needs data mobility from physical to virtual, or maybe virtual to cloud, right? um, Ability to directly restore to cloud. So at times, let's say a business which wants to run from a cloud, example would be the scenarios like we have faced recently, right? I mean, the scenarios which caused us for a delayed supply chain of hardware in our IT industry, right? So the scenarios could be war across two countries. Scenarios could be some political, pressures from two countries which may delay the supply chain. Wherein, if you want to, run any application which is business critical and which needs to be rolled out in weeks time, you will definitely go and adopt the cloud, right? And while you adopt the cloud, your tool should be able to help you port your data from on-prem to cloud seamlessly so that your application can reuse that to faster go to market. So one of the example is that. The other could be, you can restore any data, or any workload to any platform, right? So for example, if you are working on one of the cloud provider and you want to move from that cloud provider to another cloud provider because of any reason, it could be some financial reason, it could be the choice of business, or it could be the partnerships, right? So there you should be able to restore it to the other cloud providers as well. So the tool which you are gonna use for protecting your environment should be capable of helping you do that. Or you can, like example I gave you, right? So you can run a hot DR. So in case, let's say, if there is a ransomware attack, why am I using ransomware again and again? Is because ransomware is one of the uh, attacks which is typically disturbing a lot of business today. And what they do typically, when a ransom attacker gets into your environment, he or she first goes and deletes the backup copy, so that you're not able to restore it from backup copy. Then he applies certain keys or certificates onto the file, and then he demands the ransom compromise file to be, you know you have to pay some penalty to get those files back to you with no locks and all, right? So what he does, he typically goes and deletes your backup copy. So in such scenario, if you want to run it from hot dr, and if your backup copy is compromised, okay, so the platform which you are building to protect your modern data should be capable of helping you provide the copy which is, immutable copy, which a ransom guy cannot attack, and that copy can help you, run your hot dr in these scenarios, right? So that's how we talk about data mobility. So these are the use cases of data mobility, wherein the platform which you are selecting, the platform for modern data protection which you are planning to build, should be able to give you these capabilities. Okay. So let's go beyond VMs. Let's go beyond VMs and cloud workloads, right? So if you have observed or witnessed many businesses like, we call born in cloud, or businesses which were traditional, which were running the enterprise business from on premises, also have adopted cloud in some way. One of the best examples would be M365, or the examples like Salesforce for the organization which uses Salesforce. For media industry, people have started adopting the cloud platforms for broadcasting their channels or series or programs, right? And also we have seen that, the traditional file services which was not making sense to keep it on premises is moving on to the cloud by the way of either storing all data in OneDrive, or using Teams, or using a file share services from cloud providers, right? So when you do that, typically there's a shared responsibility between your business and the IT team, and also a shared responsibility between the IT team and the cloud provider, right? So when we say shared responsibility, typically when you go beyond VMs, which is not in your premises, if it is our premises, the data is IT team's responsibility. So we all experts out here on this call, managing IT, managing some operations of IT or applications of IT. When we talk about cloud, uh, the cloud provider just provides us the cloud services. The data always remains our responsibility. So when we talk about shared responsibility, it is between business and the IT first, wherein IT at times has to force some tough questions like whether the data which you need to protect, whether if that data is not available, would business sustain, how much would be the impact, or there won't be any impact. So it helps you identify which data is good to move uh, uh, basis the criticalities or priorities of business. It can move from platform to platform, right? So that shared responsibility is also important when you take a call of going beyond. So when this responsibility is important, same time when you're putting it on cloud, the responsibility of data protection is IT department's responsibility. There are some cloud providers which gives you some functionality of protecting it, but those are only for limited time, and once you hit that time, there is no copy available for that data. So what it means essentially is that protecting data that for long term retention, for governance, for meeting compliances, it is IT department's responsibility. Okay. And while we protect it, the platform should be able to help you, provide a tool which helps you monitor it proactively, take some proactive actions basis the monitoring. It should help you meet your SLAs which you have committed to your business, and it should also help you give you some trend analysis about resources used. It could be the number of license used, it could be the capacity utilization, the trend analysis of future capacity utilization, as well as memory and compute utilization for backup infrastructure. So this monitoring is essential because you have to take some proactive actions basis monitoring, and those proactive actions should be be manageable, right? So you need to identify which are the areas wherein you have to take proactive actions. uh, with those proactive actions, what should be my trend analysis? Should I be doing undersizing? Should I be doing oversizing? So monitoring is essential. And while you build this platform for modern data protection, monitoring should be given the priorities to ensure that the platform is proactively managed and protected from bad happenings, right? So monitoring is that essential. And while you do the protection, monitoring, and management of these data sets, the security is built around, right? But when we talk about security, see, overall security is a big topic. Okay. Security comes right from the source, which is like any devices from the endpoint. It could be located anywhere at POS ends, or it could be located at anywhere at your remote offices, or any mechanism of these devices of endpoints, from endpoints to data center to cloud. Okay. Security is very essential, but what we are talking about here is that the security for helping you protect your backup sets, right? So you can have multi-factor authentication to log into the backup tool. You can have the RBAC based protection aligned to uh, the backup tool. You can control that business, role based access controls. You can build defined zero trust policies. You should be able to encrypt the data sets which you are protecting, as a protected copy. And while you do that, where you're storing it, it should be immutable, so that any ransom or the bad actor which tries to come into your environment, do an attack, ransomware attack, and try to mute your files which is important for business. So it doesn't matter when you are actually it doesn't matter when you are actually planning to, if an attack happens, actually you should be ready for any situation. When an attack happens, I am ready for it, right? So that's what we are trying to talk about here. But like I said, security is very big topic. And for security, you need to ensure that the cyber insurance, or maybe a cyber protection is also applied across. So security has to be protected right from end devices, like I said. But when it comes to data protection, even data protection, we environment needs to be secure. And this is at least a basic list of capability a tool should have. So if any one of you working with cyber insurance provider or any cyber insurance vendor, you will get to see this will be list, this will be the functionalities required, and it will be part of their hit list, right? So this fucking functionality is very essential as far as any platform building is concerned. So the tool which you are planning to uh, uh, apply or deploy for your modern data protection should be able to help you secure your environment by having these capabilities, right? So it can be, so for example, I mean, I'll also give you an example. I mean, there are different ways you can build securities. You can have different pods created, maybe a separate domain for production and a separate domain for backup. So even if administration or credentials which is compromised at production will not impact backup, that is one way. You can create different fabrics. So security, like I said, it has to be built across the ecosystem of the IT landscape, right? So there are different ways, but while you do that, you should also ensure that the tool which you are deploying should be able to help you with all these functionalities. So moving on to next one. So when you have monitoring, you have management, you have security, it should help you detect and respond. So when I say detect and respond, you should be notified. You should be given some warnings as to there is abnormalities. There are some something seen that is not normal. you know we see some anomalies, right? So all that warnings has to be given. So it will detect, it will give you a response, but the action has to be applied, right? So the tool should be able to detect that. So here what we are talking is trying to talk about is that let's say there will be a monitoring tool which will keep monitoring about the CPU utilization. For example, in normal scenario, when backup is taking 8 hours to complete, it is hitting 30% of CPU utilization. But in abnormal environment, it says that the CPU utilization has gone beyond certain limit, and it will notify you. So that could be because of somebody trying to modify multiple files at a time. For an example, like I said, ransom guy, when he tries to attack, he first goes into your backup environment and tries to delete the backup files, okay, and then he tries to apply the certificate or the encryption keys onto the number of files. So you can see that in normal days the change rate was 2%. Suddenly the change rate has gone to 80% because all the files are modified. Okay, that can be a potential hint for you to see that there is some abnormality in the environment, and which can correlate into something wrong. You can sorry, I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm running with a bad throat, so sorry for that. So you can also analyze that, you know uh, if suddenly there is a surge in network utilization due to a lot of changes happening at web layer. Like for example, one of the attacks, right, log4j, which was typically attacking all the web services, which was Apache based, and then it used to create a lot of havoc by hitting the processor utilization, network utilization, everything going so high. So these warnings and detection should be responded immediately. So you should at least have something in place which will give you these warnings, which will give you some hint as to there is abnormality in the environment. And it will analyze and it will try to give you some outputs as to looks like there is an attack or change in the environment. So so the recovery or the action has to be taken faster. So while you do monitoring, you do manage, you do security build, you should also be able to get notification about such detects, and you should be able to respond to it as fast as possible. uh, what about disaster recovery? So when we are doing all this, there has to be a place wherein you have to have an setup created for disaster recovery. So that needs to be planned in advance. For an example, let's say you hit with a ransomware, and it says that your files are compromised. Okay, that can be an example of cyber DR. Or there could be a natural disaster due to flood, due to wildfire, or maybe snow, wind, or any other situations, right? Or maybe these days, the natural disasters could be a power grid failure, right? That causes production that they are production not to be available. Apart from natural, I mean, there are situations wherein these ransom attacks or malware attacks causing cyber DRs. In that case, the platform should be able to give you that capability of single click DR capability, right? So if you are by any chance hit by these cyber attacks or hit by these natural calamities, you should be able to orchestrate this DR failover failback, which should be policy driven, and it should help you by as minimum click as possible to roll over or roll back to DC and DR, right? So remember, I mean, when we talk about backup, so at times backup is also as important as production, right? So backup environment uh, is as productive as production environment in case if you get hit by any of such scenarios, right? So typically backup should not be the last priority, it should be the same priority as the production. So it needs to be planned in advance. In such scenarios, if you have planned in advance, you can either co-locate it, you can restore it from your error free backup sets. When I say error free, when you actually take the backup or create these data sets, while you create these data sets, there has to be you know ensure or a surety check which ensures that the data sets which is protected are restorable, are error free, are reliable in case if you hit any of the problems, right? Wherein the restore or maybe DR needs to be revoked. So the data sets which you are protecting and which you are storing it as backup data sets needs to be error free, it needs to be reliable, and all when so essentially what I'm trying to say here is the platform which you are building should give you these capabilities, right? The reliable copies, the zero error copies. It should be able to give you an orchestrator wherein you can drive disaster recovery plans, which should be policy driven or maybe a single click disaster recovery. Okay. And so when we are talking about all these functionalities, okay, should be there. So Veeam helps you build that platform. Okay, so we have a platform which takes care of all these use cases which we just spoke of, right? We spoke of multiple data sets. We spoke of data which needs to be protected from edge to core data center to the cloud. Okay, so today businesses have their data placements right from edge devices to their data center and to cloud as well. So we are the ones who can help you protect all your environment, be it on edge, be it on core data center, be it on any of the distribution of cloud. It can be like it is presented here on this slide. It could be AWS, Azure, Google, Kubernetes, OpenShift, OCIs. It could be software as a service like M365, Salesforce. It could be any virtualized platform, be it AHV, which is Nutanix based hypervisor, or Microsoft based hypervisor, VMware hypervisor, or Red Hat based hypervisors. We help you, data mobilize from or data mobility from one hypervisor to another hypervisor. We help you protect your database. When I say protect your database, these are actually database aware protection. We have APIs which sits which gets integrated with your Oracle database. It gets integrated with SAP HANA database, Microsoft SQL. Okay, and it helps you have application aware protection. We also help you protect your unstructured data, be it on premises or off premises. It could be NAS or it could be any SMB or CIFS share. Or when it comes to, like I said, the enterprises still have some application which needs to be written because they are part of their core business and they run on physical infrastructure. So we do help you protect a physical infrastructure as well. It could be Windows based, any distribution. It could be Linux distribution, or it could be Mac or Unix distribution. So in nutshell, what we are trying to say that is that Veeam today is capable of helping you build your modern data platform for protecting your modern cloud data management, or it could be a modern data management in hybrid in nature, or fully in cloud, or fully on prem. Be it any model, we have a capability today to give you a single platform which can help you protect not just a one environment. It can also help you protect multi environment with single a single pane of a glass, and it can help you uh, secure that by providing you immutable backup data sets, right? So overall, the point here is that when you're actually thinking of building your modern data platform to protect your data, Veeam is the one who can partner with you and help you build your modern data protection platform. We are rated number one by Gartner for 6 years in row when it comes to executing our vision. So we are right in the visionary, the leaders quadrant about for executing our vision at a very high stage. So with that, I think I'm done, and I open this bridge for question and answer. Jayati.
Yes, Vinay. So we have one question from Mr. Saurabh Badwa. Um, his question is, do I need to take backup of my DC server? Or hello?
Yeah, I get that. Is there any continuation question, or it's just
There's
that?
another question from the same person. The question is, do I need a specific plug-in to be installed to get this backed up?
Yeah, so two questions. Okay, so Mr. Wadhwa, I'll answer it in two way. First is that the servers which are critical, which are generating data, which is critical for your business. If you find budget for that, if you find space to be stored, okay, almost every server needs protection, because if it is in your data center, that means it is serving something. It is serving something somewhere to some application, and that application in turn is like, like I said, business relies on application, right? So that application in turn is going to make some sense to your business. So any server which is running in a data center is needs to be protected, but at times it is business strategy subjected to the criticalities and priorities. Business take a call, you know which should be the priority one, and the ones which should be the priority two. But in general, the servers which is part of your data center, it should be protected, so that you, being the IT service provider to your business, are ready with answers that, if I am running these services, if the services is helping you to drive your business, this needs a protection. Second, when it comes to APIs, yes, we have APIs for majority of application aware databases, the databases which runs over Oracle, MS SQL, the SAP HANA. We have APIs. We have APIs which is there for hypervisors. Okay, so we are native to the hypervisors. We don't need a separate VM to run for backup. Okay, so we are native to the hypervisor. Same time, we are native to the cloud as well. So we have APIs at each layer to be integrated with. Only for the physical machines, we have agent. Apart from physical machine, we are native. One thing I missed to tell you all about our capability of protecting the new age workloads which runs using microservices and which runs on container technology, running on to either Docker based distribution or any other distribution, right? So we have capability of protecting even containerized environment as well. And when we say talk about containerized environment, typically this containerized environment is protected by or orchestrated by Kubernetes. So anywhere, any distribution of Kubernetes you are using and you need protection, Veeam can help you protect your Kubernetes environment as well. So this was the answer to your question, Mr. Wadhwa. I hope this makes sense to you.
Right. Thanks, Brain. Anyways, we don't have any more questions. So thank you for your time, and I think this really helped our audience.
Okay. Thank you, JT.
Thank
Thank you
you. Thank you
everyone
for
for your
joining.
time. Yeah, thank you for joining. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.